Hey everybody, we have warnings coming out for November that an eviction tsunami is going to hit. Let's get into this report. Please make sure you like and subscribe as we bring you economic news, financial updates every day, almost every day, several times a week. And it's very important now to keep ahead of the curve on what's happening with this economy. As most of you know, the economy continues to fall apart as the easy money is being pulled away from people, and home equity is no longer increasing. It's in fact stalled and decreasing in many areas. So we have the wealth effect vanishing. We have rising rents due to many factors. But a big part of it is landlords are increasing their rents because of the higher cost of living, because of the higher taxes on these inflated property values. Ultimately, we may see rents start going down if home prices go down, because then the overhead may be a little less, but it's still very dangerous because we're seeing inflation in so many different areas of our world right now. And these high prices, high cost of living is punishing a lot of people, especially renters that have to pay higher rents. But in addition to that, higher food prices and everything else, energy prices, gas prices, it's punishing people. And this is why there's this prediction of an economic eviction tsunami coming up in 60 days. And it's about November. We're almost now to the end of August. So let's take a look at a recent report here. Now, also, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen. It's actually not even me saying this, because what I've always said here is they could bring out a bunch of new rescue programs. The powers that be, they likely don't want to see millions of people get put out onto the street under their watch. So it wouldn't surprise me if they come out with another moratorium where evictions are canceled or prevented. But take a look at this report. This is very concerning. So who is predicting this? Well, this is the Census Bureau. 3.8 million renters will likely be evicted in the next 2 months. So they're talking about not just beginning in November, but by November. So it's even much worse than I initially reported. Why the rental crisis keeps getting worse? Well, we've talked about that here several times. All of the things that are leading up to the higher cost of living here also are affecting property owners and landlords. So yes, some of it's greed. We have investors that came in and bought a lot of homes over the past few years, and they're raising rates out of greed, but it's also partly necessity. As the cost of living goes higher, everyone is affected, and it's going to bleed over into the rental market. So hopefully we'll see some declining home prices that can hopefully maybe make a dent in this and help fix some of this mess. But let's take a look at some of the numbers out of this report. For the first time ever, the median rent in the U.S. topped $2,000 a month in June, and the increases show no signs of stopping. We showed you the charts here before. We told you that things were going to continue to get worse, that nothing is being fixed. In fact, nearly everything is getting worse, and there's not many solutions being discussed at all. Stimulus checks didn't fix it. That was temporary. The eviction moratoriums didn't help, of course. Those were temporary, and it didn't bring down the cost of rents. In fact, that was one of the inflationary pressures causing rents to go even higher, because a lot of the landlords that weren't getting rent from one tenant wanted to make up the difference and charge the other tenants more. But that was just part of the problem that we see with these rising rents. So yeah, $2,000 a month. I don't know many people that can afford $2,000 a month rent. So you're going to see more people basically moving in together, people moving back in with their parents. You're going to see more vehicles in the driveways of residences, as people are going to have to basically buckle up and work together in some cases to try to pay this outrageous rent. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. These rising rents means households representing a total of 8.5 million people were behind on their rent at the end of August, according to the Census Bureau. 3.8 million of those renters say they're somewhat or very likely to be evicted in the next 2 months. Right? So it's even worse than the 3.8 million. Those are the ones that feel like they're going to be evicted in the next 2 months. But 8.5 million people behind on their rent at the end of August. Folks, this is an economic disaster. If there was ever any question out there that the economy was good or not good, this should help you answer that question. Right? Some people want to sit back and just look at one indicator. They'll look at the low unemployment number and they'll say everything's okay. This is the low, nearly the lowest in 50 years. But we know that's a bunch of nonsense. Even if it was true, it doesn't really mean anything. If the jobs don't pay enough to keep up with the rising costs, then it's meaningless. The unemployment number that they show on all these different networks and news channels and business channels, it is basically meaningless. And this is your evidence and this is your proof right here. Nearly 4 million renters likely to be evicted. Now, how rapid has the rise been? Well, rents are up 25% just in about 2 years since before the health crisis. Absolutely insane. Do you know anyone that's got a 25% raise in their base pay or in their Social Security or any of those areas to be able to keep up with such rapid increase in rents? It's outrageous, folks. And one of the craziest parts of all this is so many people just denied this. They said things were going to go back to normal. They bought the line that there was an economic recovery. Sure, it may have been a recovery for the businesses and the big stores and the large companies and earnings, but is it a recovery for the average person? Well, I think not. But maybe the doubters were right. Maybe there will be another rescue program that gets implemented. Maybe another eviction moratorium and a freeze on kicking people out or removing people from the premises that cannot pay their rent. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Will that happen? And do you think the powers that be want all this to unfold before November with millions of people getting evicted? And also, as revealed in this survey, to meet higher rents, 57% of renters say they relied on credit cards, loans, their savings, and also selling off assets, including raiding their retirement accounts. And we reported on this. We told you that the savings rate was plunging. People are draining their accounts just to get by. Taking retirement funds early, and you're also going to have to pay Uncle Sam a big portion of that when you take your retirement funds early. And this is an absolute mess. And nobody's talking about any real solutions. It's going to get bad, folks. Here in my neck of the woods here in San Diego, we're seeing tent cities pop up where we didn't see them before. They're talking about closing down certain parks because so many tents and all the crime and filth that comes out of that type of living setup. And also children are no longer going to have access to these areas. In many cases, it's parks filled with tents. We've reported on that here many times. And certain cities are already starting to see massive fallout of evictions since the moratoriums had ended. Evictions are up, according to an eviction lab at Princeton University in August. Evictions are up 52% in Tampa, Florida, 90% above normal in Houston, Texas, and 94% above average in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. Folks, the homeless shelters are nearly full and more than full in some places. In Los Angeles here in California, they're talking about converting hotels into homeless shelters and empty hotel rooms to be filled with the homeless people. It's an absolute nightmare continuing to unfold. Anyone that thinks this problem is being fixed, think again, because it's happening. Please let me know your thoughts down in comments on this. Hope everybody's doing well at this very difficult time. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks for watching this report. Peace.